By the end of this video, I'll turn you into a believer. Nay, I'll turn you into a Kleber. Maxi Kleber. What? In today's video, let's talk about the other veteran stretch forward that the Lakers received in the Luka Doncic trade. Besides breaking our little Lakers' hearts, can Maxi Kleber actually contribute to this team? And if so, what can we expect? Let's dive into the tape. As you probably know by now, the Lakers recently got good news that Maxi Kleber is currently going through his return to play protocol. Now, whether he's actually able to step out onto the court and be effective is another story, but let's hope for the best. First, let's talk about his offense. And let's start with the obvious. Maxi Kleber's spacing ability as a stretch forward. Undoubtedly, Maxi Kleber's most useful skill as a 6'10", 240-pound forward is his ability to reliably shoot from the perimeter. In his career, Maxi Kleber is a 35% three-point shooter, hitting 1.1 threes a game, which is very solid volume for a big. His best season from three came during the 2020-21 season, in which he knocked down 1.7 threes a game, shooting 41% from three. Now, he's got an awkward-looking wide stance and a bit of a slow wind-up that kind of reminds me of Al Horford when he shoots, but nonetheless, he's been pretty effective throughout his career, and he's got a pure stroke and touch that you can't question, much like Al Horford. And overall, he just has innately good instincts as a spacing big man. He knows how to pop out to open space and make himself available to his teammates. Recently, he surprisingly hasn't been that great of a corner shooter, hitting only 16 to 25% from each corner last season, but he has been really good on the wings and above the break, shooting 40% and 36% on those types of threes respectively. Regardless, for a 6'10" big man to be able to spread the defense out and open up the driving and passing lanes for the Lakers' big three and give them a reliable release valve on the perimeter the way that Maxi Kleber can, that's really all you can ask for from a stretch power forward. And with Maxi Kleber, the Lakers can continue to play relatively quote-unquote big while not compromising their spacing. Now let's move on to Maxi's ability to attack closeouts and put the ball on the floor. Because when you take into account his profile as a shooter, Maxi really knows how to smartly leverage his shooting gravity by attacking slow-footed big man and slow-rotating defenses by putting the ball on the floor with a quick first step and drive. And once he puts the ball on the floor, he has pretty surprising fluidity in getting to the cup. Because once he's at the basket, he has enough flexibility, touch, and skill to convert shots that aren't just straight line dunks or layups. Now, he can look a bit boxy and blocky at times on these drives, but he does have a quick enough first step and good control over his body that he can still find a way to be effective if there's space in front of him. And once in a while, if his juices are really flowing, watch out, because he can come in with the speed, force, and explosiveness and all of a sudden tomahawk hammer one down when you least expect it. But Maxi Kleber is not just a one-dimensional closeout attacker. He can also close out and pull up for a mid-range jump shot. Some players who attack closeouts, cough DFS, cough, have a very one-track tunnel vision sort of mindset. Once they've made up their mind to attack, they can only keep barreling forward to the rim even if defenders close in, and they end up either getting an offensive foul or throwing up a wild shot against the trees. But Maxi is a more versatile player in the sense that he can attack a closeout, but then pull up on a dime and drain a mid-range pull-up as well. And it's this added aspect of his closeout game that makes him so much more versatile. Next, let's talk about Maxi's solid screening and his great 5-out principles. Because Maxi Kleber is a fantastic 5-out DHO hub for ball handlers and shooters alike. The way he plants both feet solidly on the ground and uses his wide, sturdy frame to really rub defenders off is super important to creating offensive advantages. He doesn't just set half-assed screens, he doesn't try to slip screens too early without getting contact. He knows that his job is to impede defenders, try to erase them from the play, and make sure that they feel his body so that he can free up his primary ball handler. And because of all this, Maxi is also a really good roll man out of pick and roll. Once he rubs a guy off, because he's so strong and because he's always very intentional about the screens that he sets, This really opens up the lane for him to roll hard and then finish at the rim for easy buckets. And once he gets a running start, he can be pretty effective as a finisher, sometimes even flashing some surprising force and explosiveness at the basket. Relatedly, Maxi is also a very capable short roll passer and playmaker. Once he sets a screen, he dives with intention, gets the pass, keeps his head up, and can make some very nice intermediate reads on the roll. His eyes are always up, he knows where the shooters and cutters are at all times, and he typically does a good job of making the right skip pass or bounce pass to the open man. And in general, Maxi Kleber is just a good connective playmaker who has a nice feel for the offensive rhythm and flow of a game. He just knows where and when to swing it to the open man at all times, even on the move. Lastly, it probably goes without stating, but his solid screen setting also applies to his pick and pop game out to the three-point line. He gets the contact, catches the defender reeling, and then he pops out to his spot on the perimeter and fires away. But again, none of this happens without the type of patient, intentional understanding of screening angles and fundamentals that a guy like Maxi possesses. Alright folks, we have reached the halfway point of this video, and if you've enjoyed this breakdown so far, please do me a favor and hit the like button, comment down below, and most importantly, please hit this channel up with a subscribe. Alright, now let's get back into the tape. Alright, now let's focus on Maxi Kleber's best traits on the defensive end of the floor. First and foremost, Maxi Kleber is a physical bruiser. He's not afraid of contact and will willingly press up on dudes and use his 6'10", 7-foot wingspan, 240-pound frame to harass players and make them tangibly feel his presence. He's got these tree trunk legs and these bulky shoulders, and when he raises his arms in the air, he really turns into a brick wall for most driving ball handlers. If he sees you barreling down the lane with the ball in your hands, he can stay in front of you and stop you right in your tracks, because he's very adept at absorbing contact, keeping his hands high, and applying good use of verticality, letting his body do most of the work in impeding offensive players. Next, he's also a fantastic weak side defender and solid shot blocker. Don't let his pasty white looks fool you. Maxi Kleber is a pretty athletic and explosive shot blocker. He's always lurking in the shadows and tracking where the ball is at all times, gauging when and where to come in for the spike. And once a player goes up with the shot, Maxi is absolutely loading up on his tree trunk legs and swooping in at the very last second to swat that shot away. He's also not afraid of going toe-to-toe with players in the air and meeting dudes right at the rim. If there's open space between Maxi and a downhill driver, Maxi's coming in like a freight train to meet dudes head-on to block that ish. He's also a very engaged and aware team defender as well. He knows when to rotate over and help a teammate out, and he's typically blindsiding dudes and knocking their shots away at the very end. Now, the other underrated thing that I like about Maxi as a shot blocker is the fact that he also tries to secure the rebound at the end. The job is never over for Maxi pads until he has the ball. Also, Maxi Kleber is a surprisingly good transition defender. You will typically find him hauling ass and sprinting back the full length of the court just to contest a shot at the rim. Whether it's taking guys head on, or coming in for the weak side shot block, or coming in for the chase down block, if the ball's in the air, Maxi Kleber is going to try and swat it. Now let's talk about Maxi Kleber's surprisingly solid perimeter mobility as a big. Again, we are talking about a 6'10" dude with a 7-foot wingspan who's strong and bulky. Any added dose of speed and mobility to that type of frame, and you can cause real damage on the defensive end. Now, Maxi is not super fast or quick or fluid, but he does a really solid job of standing his ground and not getting too flustered or out of position on the perimeter. He always does an admirable job chopping his feet up, flipping his hips, and shadowing ball handlers to keep them contained. And once they drive, he has enough foot speed to mirror them all the way to the rim and bother their shot with his lurking frame. And against jump shooters, he does his best to crouch down low, keep his stance wide, and shuffle his feet enough to force players to settle into a tougher jump shot. And once they pull up, he's typically going up with them to contest the shot as well. He also just has really good foot speed in general when it comes to covering ground all across the court and rotating out to players, containing them, and then having to track them all the way into the paint. He can really log some miles on those legs if his body is right. And because of this mobility, Maxi Kleber is also a solid switch defender. He can guard 1 through 5 pretty competently in a pinch. Off of screens, he knows how to pick up ball handlers and hold them at bay. Unlike some undisciplined players like Jackson Hayes or Rui Hachimura, no shade, who can flinch at any crossover or first step from an adept ball handler and find themselves immediately out of position, Maxi Kleber is a lot more sound and disciplined in maintaining his defensive stance. And lastly, he can also defend drop coverage pretty competently as well due to his semi-quick twitch ability and awareness and his ability to recover. Overall, much like his offensive play, Maxi Kleber is a very smart, connective defender with good motor, mobility, and physicality. He's kind of like DFS, but in Rui Hachimura's slower-ish, bulkier body. So, in summary, Maxi Kleber, at the height of his powers, is a good, fundamentally sound basketball player with a high basketball IQ who doesn't get too sped up. He's a physical, boxy, bulky dude with broad shoulders who's got a good motor and good overall instincts and awareness of where to be at all times on both ends. He knows how to make the simple, connective reads and can move around the court relatively well given his size. Having said that, he will be limited once he returns from injury. And obviously, just keep in mind, all of the clips that you've seen in this video today are of him fully healthy. So these clips are very likely not representative of what we'll see from Kleber on a consistent basis if and when he returns, because he's going to be working off the rust. He underwent foot surgery on January 30th, and if and when he comes back to play, it will have been about 2.5 months since he last played basketball, so we all just need to keep our expectations in check and view him as a cherry on top of the sundae sort of player. But as you can see, that cherry is a pretty solid and sweet topping when healthy. So there you have it, the man, the myth, the legend, Maxi Kleber. Does he actually exist? Who knows? But if he does ever don the purple and gold and is actually healthy, I expect Maxi to look like a fusion between Larry Nance Jr. and Markieff Morris during the Bubble Championship in limited minutes. He's physical, he's strong, he's surprisingly athletic, and he can shoot the ball. And in 10 to 15 minutes a game, I think he can be a solid contributor. If he's healthy enough to play. But I beklebe, do you? Alright, that'll do it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what aspects of Maxi Kleber's game entices you the most. And please remember to like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, please hit this channel up with a subscribe. Thank you guys. This has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.